Have you ever thrown yourself headfirst into loving someone you thought just needed a little more tenderness, a bit more patience, only to end up shattered yourself? You enter the relationship with an open heart, under the illusion that love could patch up all the holes. But with a narcissist, let me tell you, love isn't something to be shared, it's a weapon to be used. At first, they place you on a pedestal, making you feel like the center of their universe. Then slowly the sweet words turn into daggers, the warmth turns into chilling silence, and love becomes a test you can never pass. You pour out pieces of your soul, your trust, your gentleness, your quiet sacrifices. But to them, it's never enough. Why? Because to a narcissist, you're not someone to love. You're a mirror, meant only to reflect and inflate their bloated ego. And when you're drained, when you start questioning your own sanity, congratulations, they've got you. They've won. But then, one day, you wake up. You're done apologizing for things that were never your fault. You're sick of proving your worth to a bottomless void. And you roar, enough. That is the moment you begin to reclaim yourself. Not with resentment, but with cold truth and wide-awake eyes. Watch this video to understand what really happens when you cut the strings in a narcissist's emotional game, and how to take back control, love yourself again, and live a life free from manipulation. Don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts. I want to hear your story. A narcissist is a predator, feeding on the blood of control, power, and your nods of approval, preying on victims who still believe that kindness might redeem them. When you're too nice, always yielding, always reaching out to save them, you become nothing more than fuel for their manipulation machine. They toy with your mind like a master puppeteer, whispering sweetness one moment, abandoning you in confusion the next, praising you to the heavens only to drag you through the mud seconds later. It's all part of a calculated design to turn you into an addict for their approval, to keep you spinning in a cycle of pain you're too scared to escape. But what happens when you finally walk away? When you stop explaining things that need no explanation, stop enduring invisible cuts, and boldly draw your line in the sand? They panic. Like an addict deprived of their next hit, you'll see the perfect mask start to crack. They scream in rage, flip the blame onto you, play the poor, wounded victim, or even drop to their knees with honey-drenched promises they never intended to keep. Why? Because losing you means losing the fuel that inflates their swollen ego. When you stop being kind on their terms, you don't just break the chains. They watch as the stage they built to perform their act burns to ashes. That's when you don't just reclaim your freedom, you uncover your true power. The power of boundaries, of self-respect, of living a life no longer imprisoned by someone who only knows how to love themselves. When you begin to break free from a narcissist's grip, don't be naive. They won't let you go without a fight. They never release their prey without launching a final wave of attacks. Tactics refined over time to pull you back in, to make you doubt yourself again. They act like self-proclaimed psychologists, but instead of healing, they use their knowledge to suffocate your soul. Be prepared. This is when their real face appears, raw and terrifying. First, they'll blame you. You think you're taking back your freedom? Not in their eyes. To them, you're selfish, ungrateful, a traitor who dared walk away from the love they bestowed. After everything I did for you, this is how you treat me? That line isn't a plea. It's a dagger to your self-worth. They want you to feel like the villain, to believe every ounce of pain in the relationship was your fault. You weren't patient enough, loving enough, good enough. They rewrite the story, making you the villain in a drama where they were always the mastermind. And if you're not careful, you'll start wondering, maybe it really is me. But they won't stop there. When blame doesn't work, they escalate to threats. Rage erupts like a volcano. They scream, break things, or worse, hint at physical harm. If you leave, you'll regret it. They growl, eyes filled with icy menace. This isn't the fury of someone heartbroken. It's a performance by someone terrified of losing control. They want you to flinch. They want fear to chain you back, to make you believe that the price of freedom is too high. But remember, their fury isn't strength. It's the desperation of a crumbling empire. And when rage and threats still fail, they shift to their deadliest tactic, love bombing. Suddenly, the one who was colder than ice now kneels before you, tears falling, spewing apologies sweeter than honey. I know I was wrong. You're everything to me. I'll change for you. They hug you, send flowers, write long, heartfelt texts, everything you once begged for. This is their best performance yet, the version you fell in love with in the beginning. But don't be fooled. This isn't awakening, it's bait. A new mask carefully crafted to lure you back into the storm. They haven't changed, they've just paused the act. And when you soften, the mask will fall again, faster than before. And if all else fails, they deploy their final weapon, the silent treatment. A suffocating, heavy silence that feels like erasure. No calls, no texts, no explanation. They vanish, leaving you drowning in guilt. What did I do wrong? Do I really deserve this? They know silence is the most brutal weapon. It pierces your deepest fear of abandonment. They want you to chase them, apologize, beg them to return, just to end the void. But don't be mistaken, it's cold, calculated cruelty, designed to break your spirit without uttering a single word. Look beyond the manipulation and you'll find a bitter truth. A narcissist doesn't love you. They love how it feels, to be needed, admired, and obeyed. Every act they perform, whether rage, apologies, affection, or silence, serves a singular purpose: to keep you under control. They are incapable of true love because real love requires giving, empathy, and sacrifice, things their bloated ego cannot allow. To them, you are not a person to be cherished, but a tool, a source of fuel to feed the illusion of greatness they cling to. So what do you do when facing these tactics? Don't give in. Don't blame yourself. And above all, don't go back. Every time they blame you, remind yourself, you are not the selfish one. They are the ones who only take but never give. Every threat is not strength. It's fear disguised as fury. When they love bomb you, look to the past. Have their promises ever been real? And when they go silent, don't chase them. Let them sit in the emptiness they created for themselves. Here is the truth you must etch into your bones. Their efforts are not about keeping you. They're about preserving their ego from collapse. They don't fear losing you as a person. They fear losing what they've invested in manipulating you, the time, the energy, and the blind trust you once gave. When you walk away, you don't just reclaim your freedom, you expose the raw truth. They were never as powerful as they seemed. They are fragile, dependent, and hollow, needing someone like you just to feel like they exist. So when they try to pull you back, don't waver. Every attack is rooted in desperation. Every sweet word is a trap. This isn't about love. It's about their survival, not yours. You're not escaping to punish them. You're breaking free to save yourself. True worth isn't found in their approval. It's in your own recognition of who you are, strong, worthy, and no longer in need of anyone else's definition. Stand firm. Every step forward is a blow to the chains they once used to bind you. Every breath of freedom is a brick in the new life you're building, a life where you are no longer the puppet, but the author. In a relationship with a narcissist, boundaries are constantly violated in subtle ways, through sarcasm disguised as constructive criticism, through emotional debts you never owed, or through manipulative forgiveness demands that come without true remorse. They do not respect your boundaries because to them, you are not a separate, autonomous human being. You are an extension of their hollow self. Refusing to argue or explain is a powerful psychological shift. A narcissist doesn't seek truth, they seek to win. Every argument is a rigged game where logic is twisted to fit the narrative they want you to believe. The more you explain, the deeper you get pulled into the maze they've built, where every answer becomes ammunition. When you stop participating in these toxic dialogues, you're no longer playing their game. Emotional detachment, also known as the gray rock method, doesn't mean you become cold or numb. It means you stop feeding the emotional energy that keeps the dynamic alive. Narcissists cannot stand indifference. They crave a reaction, whether it's love, anger, tears, or begging, because that's how they know they still have power over you. By staying calm, neutral, and unreactive, you break the cycle they spent so long conditioning into you. Saying no to their invasive requests is not cold. It's a declaration of self-respect. They may call you too sensitive, selfish, or cruel, but these are just tools to pull you back into compliance. Learning to say no is a revolutionary act for someone who spent their life trying to please a narcissist. It's the first step in remembering this. You were never meant to exist in survival mode. You don't have to earn love by sacrificing yourself for someone who doesn't understand love in the first place. Freedom doesn't come from the narcissist changing, because they won't. Freedom comes the moment you realize you deserve kindness that doesn't come with strings attached. You deserve love that doesn't require self-erasure. And You deserve a life not ruled by someone else's emotions. This is where true healing begins. Leaving a narcissist is not the end, it is the beginning of a deep personal journey toward rebirth. Many survivors find themselves lost after the relationship ends. Without the toxic control, they suddenly realize they no longer know who they are, what brings them joy, what's truly theirs, what's real. That's the aftermath of living too long in a distorted reality, where you had to constantly shapeshift to avoid conflict, where your feelings were labeled too much, too dramatic, untrustworthy. The narcissist didn't just manipulate your actions, they restructured your thoughts, making you believe you were small, dependent, and incapable of surviving without them. So the next step in your healing isn't just moving on, it's rebuilding the foundation of your identity. You will need to learn how to trust your intuition again, something a narcissist has spent so much time making you doubt. Start small, listen to your body, take note of what brings you peace, or simply allow yourself to rest without feeling guilty. This is the first step in rebuilding your relationship with yourself. Journaling, therapy, mindfulness meditation, and connecting with emotionally healthy people will become invaluable tools. But the most important part isn't the technique, it's the permission. The permission to exist without being monitored, judged, or manipulated. You don't have to perform anymore. You don't have to behave just to avoid someone's rage. You don't have to suppress your emotions for fear of being punished with silence. You're allowed to say, I don't like this. This hurts me. I deserve more than this. And bit by bit, you'll begin to realize that your softness is not a weakness, it is your strength. Your sensitivity is not a burden, it's your compass, guiding you back to truth. And when you start living as your authentic self, you are no longer a target for narcissistic abuse. You are no longer manipulable because you are awake. To avoid falling into the narcissistic cycle again, you need to understand that narcissists aren't always obvious at first. They are often masters of disguise. Charming, intelligent, generous, even emotionally insightful. But what sets them apart is how you begin to feel over time. Smaller, invalidated, and burdened by a love that starts to hurt. This time, instead of only watching for red flags in others, learn to watch yourself. Any relationship that requires you to abandon your core values, that steals your peace, or that forces you to constantly apologize for how you feel, that's the red flag. Learn to listen to the silent signals in your body and emotions. You don't need hard evidence to take a step back. Ongoing unease, anxiety, or exhaustion is your inner warning system. Trust it. At the same time, nurture healthy self-esteem, not arrogance. When you know your worth, you won't be easily drawn to narcissists because you won't need external validation to feel complete. You'll know that you deserve a love that nourishes you, not one that depletes you. And remember this, you don't need to be tough to be safe. You only need to be awake. Awake enough to know when it's time to walk away. Awake enough to tell the difference between real love and sweet manipulation. Awake enough to know that intense connection is not always love. It might be emotional chaos dressed up as destiny. You no longer live in the shadows of your past. What you've been through does not define who you are, it deepens you. Every step you take, whether shaky, slow, or imperfect, is a declaration of rebirth. Now, you don't need anyone's permission to live as your true self. You don't have to apologize for being you. You don't have to shrink so someone else can breathe. This is your moment to choose the life you truly deserve, a life that is safe, sincere, and free from manipulation. Because here's the truth, real love never makes you doubt yourself. It brings peace, it brings freedom, it makes you feel whole.